have to be a star, baby. You don't have to be a star to be on my show at all. Yeah. Friday evening, 10 p.m. And of course, you are inside the Little Hut podcast. And tonight is going to be hot like fire. I don't know. But of course, hey, welcome. And before we get started, gotta say hello to my sponsors. And of course, that's the Concerned Citizens of Garfield Heights, New Beginnings, 1111 Creations. So if you're looking for t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, tumblers, cups, mugs, team uniforms, whatever the case may be, call Angie Marie at 216-395-7335. Then, of course, my favorite realtor, her name is Aletha Johnson, and she's part of the Dream Team Realty. So if you're looking for a single home, commercial property, new development, you know the routine. Call Aletha at 216-375 3681. Yes, Brown. That damn Brown on Cleveland. And of course, tonight we got Freddie is back. She's back. And of course, it's the morning after or days after election 2024. Good evening, my friend. How are you?
I'm good, actually. I'm good. I
Okay.
know a lot of people still digesting, but I'm good.
And you're right about that because I don't care whose Facebook page you go to, something is always popping up in my news feed. And all I can say is this: listen, it's over. Go home. Y'all come back now. You're here in 4 years. God willing, make us able. But real quick, we're going to recap this for the last time. Freddie, listen. What are your thoughts? Because I know you have some. What are your thoughts inside the Little Hut podcast?
Ooh, Lord. You know what? My thoughts. I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised. That I'm gonna say that. I was not surprised just from the underlying energy that was out there. I wasn't surprised. But I was disappointed. But I wasn't surprised. So I think the Democratic Party needs to do a serious reevaluation of themselves, of what their messaging is. Um, so at this point, it's like, the people have spoken, and I'm gonna sit back with my popcorn, and I'm gonna, I'm about to just about to watch this play out because it's gonna play out. Because one thing about power, it corrupts, and the nature of who our next president is going to be, the level of competition amongst these men that will be groveling for power and position. I'm just gonna sit back and let's see how it play out, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. That's that. I'm just gonna, you know,
You
not
know
my
what?
fight.
Yes, here's the thing that gets me about this entire um, process that we all had to experience. I will say this until I am purple in the face. I just believe that Kamala Harris was used like an old pair of worn out shoes. I believe she was used. And again, I believe that she was captivated to carry the dirty water of Joe Biden because everybody knew that Donald Trump was going to kick his ass. But they did not want to destroy Joe Biden's legacy. So they went and got Kamala. So I'm really, really pissed off about that because the way they portrayed her, and I'm talking about the Democratic Party, it was a travesty. because when they portrayed her a certain way, they pretty much equated that to women. We're women. And I don't like the way they strategically move. So let me ask you this: who do you think is to blame for this major defeat, Brown on Cleveland?
I think that blame is widespread in
Okay.
regards to who to blame. So it's hard to say. I can't pinpoint anything on it, but I appreciate your perspective on it of her being this sacrificial lamb that had to take the fall and fall on the
Mhm.
sword to get Joe Biden over the hurdle with his legacy or whatever intact. And if he would have stayed in the race, he would have lost because his mental acuity is definitely slow. I don't think he's
Mhm.
cuckoo, but he's definitely, not all the way there. And I definitely don't think who we about to have is there. But that's neither here nor there because that's where that's where we at. So this is
Right,
what we
right.
chose. So it's like, yeah, like this where we at, and keep your head on the swivel, stay focused, stay out the way because this ain't our fight, and let
Mm-mm.
this play out. Because you got
Let
some
me
people that's about to fight for some position here, so let it play out.
let me ask you this. Um, a lot of YouTubers and even in the media now, mainstream media, they're saying that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are partly to blame for the fall of Kamala Harris. Reason being, the way that Barack Obama, the way that he spoke to black men, they say was a turnoff, and a lot of black men were impacted. And the way they responded was simply that either I'm not going to vote or I'm going to vote for Mr. Trump. When it came to Michelle Obama, what they're saying is that Michelle Obama, the way that she presented herself, she tried to make women, women feel guilty, feel bad if they did not want to support Kamala Harris. What are your thoughts, Brown on Cleveland, inside the hut?
The media. Mm,
Well, remember, I'm part of that.
okay. The media. Mm. The media has a job. The media has a role to play.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and sometimes in their attempts of being fair and balanced, they kind of do an injustice. So the media to me,
Mm-hmm.
they focused in on so many things that had never been heavily weighed in on before. I've never seen this much focus on the black male vote. Like yeah, I've just in my time of being engaged and watching news and media, I've never seen that level of lasered in focus on the black male voters. I think they are easily peeled because one Trump did state he was going for some of the low information voters. So I think it was just a combination of a lot of things that played out into why she didn't win. But I don't think it's on the merits of qualifications.
Mm-hmm.
This cannot be a election off of qualifications because if it is, then either I'm in the twilight zone or I'm like I don't know because I'm confused. That part of it I'm confused because like if you're gonna vote for him, but don't tell me it's for his don't tell me it's about his qualifications, his morals, his don't tell me that because then that's an insult to me when you say my religious convictions compel me to follow this, or like, so that to me is the slap. That to me is the disappointment. Just be truthful about whatever you may feel that he stands for, and stand on it. Stand on it. But don't tell me is morality and it's about family values, and we talking about that in Donald Trump in the same sentence in God. Like, yeah, that we not gonna even, that I'm not gonna play. I'm not gonna even tolerate it. Like, I have a ex coworker, and she came on after the thing, and she showed the the map of the states and how red it was, and she was a conservative Christian, and she had trouble having
Mhm.
a child, and so that's what led her to vote for Donald Trump. And I'm thinking, in the message that you're trying to convey, what you failed to realize is you had a choice and how you was going to be able to make this family happen, because it didn't happen in a conventional sense. So you benefited from something that you now say, oh no, y'all can't, ain't your choice, let the government decide for you. So then you try to turn it and say it's your faith. That to me is an insult to my intellect, to say that's your rationale when we're talking about a man that I can hear, that I can see, that I can digest this information. And she said, I'm a thinking woman. I said, well, okay then. But where we at? That's where we at. So
Okay. There was a recent article in the Daily News that was quoting Senator Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders said that one of the reasons why Kamala Harris was not successful is because the Democratic Party has not been supportive towards the middle class. He says so the Democratic Party, because they have turned their backs on the middle class, the end result is that the middle class has now turned their backs on the Democrat Party. And let me add this, and I will support that statement. When we had the blackout in northeastern Ohio, my lights were out 4.5 days. I lost $300 in groceries. And I know people are probably saying, Brown, quit crying about it. Well, I'm going to cry because nobody gave me back my money. There were no programs for people like me. You're a working woman, you're an entrepreneur. There were no programs for people like you. The have nots got their EBT, their TANF double. The rich folks was taken care of because they have the money. But we're considered the have nothings. She didn't say anything about it, and he didn't care. So Bernie Sanders is correct, and I stand by that. I don't believe that the middle class exists. It only exists when it comes time for people wanting our votes. But when it comes to, them taking care of and believing in the middle class families, which in fact, I don't even believe it exists because it's really concerning to say that we are now the have nothings. This is one of the reasons why they did not get the turnout that they were supposed to get, and they did not get the support that they were expecting. Your comments, agree, disagree, you say what, Brown on Cleveland, inside the Little Hut podcast.
so my opinion on the Democratic Party,
Mhm.
and I've been knowing you for a while now, but this has been my opinion.
Before I had gray hair.
I don't see the gray, so it must have been. So I have been utterly disappointed in their representation into the communities that they so claim to be fighting and champion for. So it's like, y'all, you say this and you say that, but we don't see you until it's election time.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna use an example. This year was my first time going to the when they got to choose the delegates to go to the convention.
Oh,
And I'm
okay.
just listening to people give their spiel on why they should go to Washington, because they're going to make Northeast Ohio turn out the vote. And I'm like, I ain't seen none of y'all. Like, like, y'all saying this is what y'all do, but I don't see y'all. Y'all don't put no investment into the community, into the infrastructure, into the education of it. But then you want them at the 24th hour to turn out and vote. Like, Sherrod Brown, like, bruh, you ain't been here. You ain't. Then I just all of a sudden see these big ass Sherrod Brown signs everywhere, these little flag thing, and I'm just like, oh, this is your way of engaging us. Just throw your signs up and like, and that is where I understand the frustration of the
Mhm.
people with the Democratic Party and why they can be swayed to somehow vote against their own economic interests and things of that nature. Because one, in our community, there's are I'm see, when I tell people is we have an ignorant society, they take offense to it. But ignorance is just lack of knowledge and
Not knowing.
information, and that is what it is. Like, we live in our communities are so voided of knowledge. And if you don't have knowledge, then you can be filled with anything else because there's nothing to contrast it against. You're like, well, it makes sense because you don't know nothing else. Because I'm like, there's a reason they didn't want you to read or write. It's a reason they didn't want you to be able to comprehend and digest information. So you don't have anything to challenge it. So what they tell you sounds really good, and what they telling you over here, you've heard it, and don't nobody know history, and don't nobody got no sense of education, and we got amnesia every 2 to 6 years here. Like, I don't know, every other year we eat it. So a lot of
But
work
Freddie,
needs to be
but Freddie,
done.
that's because, but see, that's because people will not hold these elected officials accountable nor responsible. You see, people can easily be bought and sold for a $25 gift card. So that's the reason why it bothers me really to the core when I went to vote, and even when I was at the Board of Elections on that Sunday covering a news story, when I would just see people holding a slave card, and I said slave card, is symbolic to the slate card, because what it does is that it's a cheat sheet. It's just like if you're in school, the teachers tell you to close the book. Sometimes you have an open book test. We don't need an open book election. We need a closed book, which will force people, forget about the political parties, right? But it will force people to do their homework and their research. For example, I hear a lot of people talking about, you know, well, he's a felon and he shouldn't be running. But I say this, how can you say that about him when you got people on a local level that you yourself have voted for on our council, on our bench? You can't have it both ways. So we got to be fair. You can't talk about President elect Trump felonies, right? And about him being a felon if you can't talk about Cleveland City Council and people who are on the muni bench. And I'm not picking on anybody. I'm talking about the behavior. I'm talking about, I have an issue when political parties, I don't care if you're Republican, a Democrat, a Green, a Libertarian, when you don't have policies in place to say this. Once you have been convicted of a felony, you will no longer receive an endorsement from this party. That keeps it with substance. When you don't, it's watered down, and people no longer believe in the parties nor the process.
That too. I totally agree with those points. And then the fact that we had that decision, what was that, in early 2000s with the Citizens United and all of this money. It's like we are never upset about the amount of money. that is spent on elections.
Mm-mm.
But we'll be upset about every the amount of money that we spend on elections is nothing in comparison to what you think them immigrants get or whatever the that amount of money that's floating around, that's unregulated, that's dark money, that's playing a role within every fabric of every election within our system. But then we have these voter integrity laws on top of. So it's like, so hey, it's like right now I'm a breathe, relax, reset, and then the work continues. But the lift is heavy. But again, the people that need to be doing the lifting, you give the people a lot of credit. I don't know if I give them that much credit when you say they'll be forced to do their homework. I don't know. When you got a literacy problem and you got an instant gratification society that just need the sound bites and not any deep dive, I don't have faith. You got it. And I'm gonna follow you. Maybe you know more, cause I don't got the faith that they gonna do their due diligence and do deeper digging into fact finding about something because I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it, and again, it's because I think it's too much money involved in politics. Just had a debate on C-SPAN and the local channels or whatever it may be, and be done with it. And like, don't bombard us with all the like. It's too much, and people are not in a. I don't know. It's just I don't know. That part of it is too much. So I just think it's so many things that's been leading up to where we're at.
All
You
right.
know.
We got 2 minutes to
Okay.
wrap this thing up. The point I'm gonna make to you is this: people are grown all day long. They do grown stuff. They love to do some grown stuff. So when you like to do grown stuff, part of being grown is to be able to read, write, and do simple arithmetic. This is not back in the 1800s, right? So this is 2024. If you can't, it's shame on you. But at the end of the day, if you use a cheat sheet in school, what happens? You get kicked out, you fail. If you use a cheat sheet in college, what happens? They may call it plagiarism and you totally get kicked out. You can never go to another school ever. It's just what it is. We got to stop making excuses for people who run for office and who get these seats. When you make excuses, this is the type of behavior you get. This is the reason why you look at some parts of our community. They are a hot ass mess. Then the Democratic Party, from my understanding, got this new rule that if you're part of the party, you can't run against the incumbent. That doesn't make sense to me because if the incumbent is garbage, you mean to tell me you want the garbage to stay there? How damn dumb is that as a dumbass Dem? Yes, I said it, and I'm probably gonna make more enemies today than what I made yesterday. But hey, that's my track record. Brown on Cleveland, listen, I'm done with this issue. Freddie is always great. You're always welcome to the Little Hut podcast, of course. Wrap this thing up for me in 90 seconds and let's get out of here because I got to wash my hair tonight and go find me a scary movie. Brown on.
So how I'm gonna wrap it up
Wrap it up.
is thank God, hallelujah, praise Jesus is over. Breathe. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. We're gonna reset, we're gonna recharge, and we're gonna figure this out. That's where I'm at. It is what it is. America has spoken. We're gonna abide by the rules. We ain't raiding no capitals. It's gonna be all right. So thank you, Kim. I hope to see you at the top of the year. I'll see you in between then, but happy Friday, TGIF, everybody.
There you go. Listen, as I say always, I know you don't like me, but I'm okay with that because I don't like you either. But if you need me, call me. Don't talk about me because I have a platform, but I will talk about you back. Again, you don't have to be a star to be on this show, Freddie. You don't have to be a star, but you gotta be bold. You've been inside the Little Hut podcast where sometimes they get hot, hotter, and hot as hell. But I'd rather be here than in hell, and I'm definitely not going to jail. I just made that up. See, I made that up because I didn't like all that twerking that was going on Kamala Harris stage because black people don't. We don't be. I'm tired of that mess. Listen, Donald Trump is the president. You guys stop crying. You know, we have been through worse. We're warriors. We get through stuff. So what? He the president. Hell, I'm about to go ask him for a job. Brown, brown, brown. That darn brown on Cubans. Say goodbye, Freddie.